All right, folks. Now, this next keynote presentation is fascinating. I hope you're ready for it. It is entitled, Your Business Doesn't Need You. I just love this title because, including myself, like maybe you're scratching your head about it right now. You're like, well, hang on, it needs me. I am the business. Here to explain us why is our next speaker, which is Cheryl Leong, Chief Freedom Officer at the Growth Hub. Now, she's running multiple businesses, developing property, running a community of over 12,000 property developers, as well as a mum to young children. That's a lot. She values the balance between business and spending time doing what she loves with the people that she loves. Cheryl is fiercely passionate about lifting others to achieve their greatest potential and embraces that business is a vehicle for doing that. Please welcome Cheryl Leong.
Thank you, Nathan, for the wonderful introduction. And hi, everyone. It's fantastic to be here. Hi, Eob. And I'm so honored to be able to speak in front of everyone today. And yes, here's a trigger warning. Your business doesn't need you. And so to be able to I picked up a few things from some of our speakers today. You know, Miles talked about, the efficiencies in your business to maximize the output of your team, and Select Pay was also talking about growth and staff and cash flow. And so, the theme of today and what I really wanted to talk about was really around, how we can start to really plan our businesses around not needing you as the core person, and to be able to scale and grow and build the type of business that you want to. So who is this chick, Cheryl Leong? Just a really brief overview. I am mum and wife, two little kiddies. I was born in Malaysia and have moved and lived in Singapore and Australia. My first business was in window cleaning, of all things, when I finished university. As every Asian parent would like, their child did not go to be a lawyer, but a window cleaner. But that was my first foray into business. And it was really, like all of us, we all sort of go through a journey, and we're learning about our businesses and ourselves along the way. I had my daughter through a few other businesses, and I was a Kanga trainer. I wanted to keep active while I had my little one, so I taught other mums how to exercise with their babies, and that was, I would say, probably one of the greatest business achievements of my life, because one of the things it taught me was how I loved being able to inspire and empower the people. And this is why, and connect with others as well. And which is why the businesses that we support now, it's all around how can I connect different people to be able to help businesses and people grow. I'm a little bit of a hippie. I love anything sort of spiritual and holistic. Love property, as Nathan mentioned. We're part of I basically run a community of over 13,000 people in the property space. And I just have this personal mission to impact people and businesses. So what are we? Story of the Growth Hub. We are essentially a consulting and outsourcing business. We focus on systemizing businesses so that businesses can bring on virtual teams. And I'll talk a little bit around virtual teams and hybrid teams in a moment. Two things I want to be able to talk through is start with the end in mind in your business. And we're also going to talk numbers. We're not going to talk numbers as much as Miles has, but we're going to talk about some of the things that he's mentioned around the efficiencies in your business and how we can ensure that our team are leveraging their time to their best. But I want everyone to sort of ask yourselves a question. What does your ideal business future look like? And I'm wondering if you've ever sort of thought of this before. It's sort of like, what is the end goal for your business? Where do you want your business to go? And I'd be really keen to understand what that means for you. And if you can pop it in the chat on the right-hand side or wherever it is on your screen, like what does business and success and the end goal for your business look like? I'd love to hear from the crowd. Does it mean being able to travel months on end? Does it mean being able to sell it in a few years? Does it mean being able to do what you love doing till you're 95 or 120, as Tony Robbins would say, that we have the ability to live for that long? I would love to hear you share generational business. So being able to ensure that you've got, being able to have your children sort of be part of your business, flexibility around family, fund, traveling, private school education, more time to do other things, travel. Yep. Something that continues to pass it on. Being number one in Australia, travel for sure. And you'll find that, and thank you so much for sharing. You'll find that a lot of this is around having the freedom to make the choices that you want and the choices that resonate with you. And everyone's going to have different choices and different needs in their life, and do what you enjoy, whatever that might be. And if that means being able to enjoy reading books for hours on end without being interrupted by little children, maybe you got to wait till your children grow up. But yeah, it's about freedom and choices. So what does that mean in our business then? So what we need to look at is constantly go back to your why. And this, all that you've popped in front in our comments. Like I asked the question about, do you have that in the vision board of some sort? Do you have it in your vision of the type of business you want to create and structure to be able to help you create this outcome, this future business that you want? And what does that mean? I like to ask you to ask yourself some of these questions and write these down if you want to. So number one is, what role do I want to play in my business, in my future business, or even now? And the next question is, can I step away from the business and still have it generate revenue? That's a real tough one for a lot of us who are solopreneurs who are going, I am the business. Nathan mentioned is I am the business, right? But again, it's not that it's a bad thing. It's just to be able to say, hey, what are the questions what is the business I want to create? If you are the sole person, then that's fantastic. If you want to be able to have a team or grow it, then you just have to sort of work out, how am I going to create that? And if you have a team, does my business know what to do without me? The worst thing is going on holiday and having 50 emails or messages in your inbox saying, hey, boss, whoever, 500 questions about something, but they're the same sort of questions. And how many hours do I want to work in or on the business? Write these things down, and hopefully they're triggering some sort of conversation in your mind, right? And so then we come down to the numbers. What is your billable hours rate? Mm-hmm. In lawyer speak, billable hours are the hours you're able to bill a client for. So I know we've got different types of businesses here, but then, I'm trying to sort of make it a little bit simpler for us to sort of work out what we're trying to get to. So billable hours are the hours you're able to bill a client for. So say you've got a 40-hour work week, you may have a bit more or less. 20 hours of that are billable. So that's 20 hours of you working in the business. So your billable hour rate is, say, $100 an hour. So what does that work it out to be if you're only able to bill for 20 hours? So that's $2,000. All right, so calculate your average weekly income. That's $2,000 a week. How many hours do you work in a week? It's 40 hours, right? But that doesn't necessarily mean you're getting paid for the 40 hours. You're getting paid for the 20 hours. So then your effective hourly rate is actually halved. That's only $50 an hour. So you might think that as a lawyer, you're earning a lot from an hourly basis, but how many hours can you actually apply to billing? Have a look at your business and have a think about that as well. Like how many, not necessarily hours, I know you're not billing in hours, but be able to go, how many hours am I actually working on my business and earning income from that? Or am I spending a lot more of that time on administrative tasks, operational tasks, things that are not necessarily bringing money into the business? So then the question is, how do I increase my revenue without increasing the number of hours in my business? There's some tips that I have here. Now, focus on the tasks and functions only you should be doing, right? So if they are in your business, and all of us have superpowers, are you spending the time on your superpowers, or is your time and your talent being sort of wasted on other things that are less high value, are lower value? You can increase your prices. So I know for a lot of business owners, when we first start out, we tend to price ourselves too low because we have this sort of imposter syndrome. I'm not sure if people are going to want to pay for my services, right? So look at increasing your prices, and even a 10% increase makes a big difference in your overall revenue. Again, not going back to what Miles said, but I'm sure these are things around how you can move the needle forward without necessarily expending more time and energy in your business. Bill on value versus time. You might sort of think, oh, I'm worth $50 an hour, but your output and the value that you bring to your clients is incredibly valuable. So bill on the value. It's not about, I'm going to spend 3 hours on this, but you spent the last 20 years building up to this point where you can complete a task in 3 hours. Whereas someone who is not as skilled might spend 10 hours. So bill on the value. Be more efficient, or look at how you can automate the processes in your business and systemize it to a point where other people can be delegated that particular task, which flows on to the next one. Leverage your time and your skills. What do you need to be able to make sure that you can do more and bring more in without necessarily having to do a lot of the back end work and delegate? So let it go. Anyone with little kids, particularly little girls, would know this song. Let it go, right? And it's such a big one for business owners because we tend to hold on to so much. We sort of think no one can do it as well as I can, and no, I'll get it done I might as well do it myself because I'm going to get it done in 5 minutes, right? And this is where we are sort of, what do you call the Achilles heel to our own growth and scaling. So the biggest part of growing in the business is figuring out what you're going to let go and go from being the doer, to the leading. Because it's when you lead, you start to really grow, because then you can step into just focusing on your superpower and having a team that supports you and leverages you to be able to move forward to do that. Yeah, letting go is a big one. So what can you delegate as a business owner? We do a lot of unpaid work and lesser value tasks under the guise of being busy. We don't always have to be busy. We don't always have to hustle. We've been sort of had the whole mindset around the Gary Vee mindset around hustle. And that's not really going to help us achieve what we want to achieve, which is the freedom to choose. So, and Lara mentioned having this balance in life and business and being able to reduce your stress levels. It's such an important part of living sort of a great sort of lifestyle and healthy lifestyle. So delegation is a big part of that, because that takes a big load off your shoulders. So what are the things that we can do that we can delegate? Administrative tasks. A lot of the things that we need to do, 2 a.m, who has been sending emails at 2 a.m, when you could be doing other things? Yes, me, I've been there. Responding to emails, organizing appointments. Oh my goodness, appointments sort of, are you available at 3? No, I'm available at 2. And that back and forth takes up so much time. Travel arrangements, marketing. Marketing's a big one. We need to do it, but are we the best people to do it? That's a question that we have to ask. Or do we outsource or delegate that to professionals or someone else in your team that can continue your marketing efforts? We spend a lot of time on unpaid things like personal education. It's incredibly, I'm not saying that it's not important, incredibly important, and you need it, but you're not getting paid for that time. So you need to sort of work out how you can leverage that as well. So the big question is, how many hours in your week are you spending on unpaid or lower value tasks? Reflect on it in your business. Is it 10? Is it 15? Is it 20 hours? The best way is to be able to do some sort of a time audit. So if you're working from 8 in the morning till 6 in the evening, like go through your week and do a bit of a task audit. And then ask yourself, am I spending my time effectively? And what can I do to help increase my effective hourly rate? So very quickly, I'll run through some really, really rough numbers. Increasing your revenue means increasing your effective hourly rate. So going back to the example that we have, billable hours, we talked about 20 and billable rate was 100, revenue was 2,000. If you're able to increase your billable hours to 30 and your billable rate was 100, that goes up to 3,000. But how do we do that? So this is where we talk about building your team, and in particular, the benefits of having someone like a virtual assistant. So a virtual assistant can be someone, we're doing a virtual summit, anyone that's really not in an office and that's working remotely and virtually. The virtual assistants that we work with in our business are overseas. And so from a cost perspective, they are a bit more cost effective in terms of for small businesses to be able to bring on new staff without it breaking the bank. So an executive assistant role locally might be about 70,000 compared to a virtual assistant, which might be about 25,000. We go through marketing assistants. So you can see here where there's a real cost difference there. And the truth is, for businesses to grow, we need to be able to build teams. We need to be able to have someone else help us do the work. And so that means we do need to look at hiring. And at the moment where the cost, because there's such a labor shortage, the cost to hire locally can be quite restrictive. And here's the elephant in the room, right? Are we taking jobs away from Australians? And the truth is, we're not. Because the fact is that if small businesses can't afford to hire locally, that small business is going to struggle. That business is going to keep struggling, and they're not going to be able to get the income that they need. They're not going to be able to scale and be able to, what was I going to say, to give back to the community. We've got current labor shortages as well. So then businesses are finding it difficult to be able to scale. Virtual assistants and teams allow you to grow and increase revenue and profitability, and then allow you to then hire locally for roles that require someone with a specialist and more expensive skill set. Right? So in fact, we are actually allowing that particular small business to grow into a business that can help them afford a local talent, but one that's actually a more specialist and more expensive. So now we're going to talk about, growing into your future org structure. And here I've highlighted a few. You see there's a pink, there's sort of a yellow, there's a pink, a blue, and a gray, which shows you your local specialist can be someone who is like your marketing manager or an operations manager or a sales manager. Whereas your virtual assistant can be someone that supports those particular roles: appointment setter, client care, marketing assistant, and an EA. And you can then have an external consultant who is a bookkeeper as well. So you can see here a hybrid team is one that is very, very workable if you're able to also start off with a virtual team that helps you get to that point. I've sort of summarized a few of the tasks that you can delegate to a virtual assistant. And the truth is, it comes down to your business's needs rather than what can someone do. It's really, what does my business need right now? If I need someone to help take off all my administrative tasks to begin with to free myself up, then that's an EA type role. If it's appointment setting, you're getting lots of leads and you need an appointment setter. So it's really understanding where your business is and what your next hire is to be able to unlock your time. I won't go through these. So what's your 2023 exit plan? And I like to ask questions. And there's some actionable steps that come out of this. Do you have an exit plan? It doesn't mean you're going to leave the business in 2023. It's just one of the steps you're going to take to be able to create that future business that you're working towards. Then determine your strategy. What do I mean by strategy? It's like, how are you going to get to a point where you're starting to build either a team or start to systemize? That's the third step. And then the next one is, how do you grow your team, whether it's locally or virtually as well. And then the last thing is to take action. And wrapping this all back, all this stems from understanding and realizing your business doesn't necessarily entirely need you. They need you to lead and not do, which will allow you to grow and scale and create the lifestyle and the business that you want.